Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Code Blue News Season 3. I'm Angelo Rossi, here with Matt Messina, 6 feet apart.
As you may know, homecoming weekend was supposed to be next Friday. However, like all great things in life, it has been canceled due to COVID-19.
On the subject of COVID affecting school activities, I wonder how fall athletes feel about their sports being postponed or canceled.
COVID-19 has changed many aspects of school life this year. One of the most notable changes is the lack of fall sports. On August 27th, the MIAA COVID Task Force approved modifications to the fall sports season, which included pushing back the official start date to September 18th. However, the Mayflower League, which includes schools such as Holbrook, Avon, and Blue Hills, has chosen to move all fall sports to next spring. As a result of these changes, the Mayflower League fall sports season will take place from March 10th to April 30th. The question remains though, could fall sports have been played safely? We caught up with senior Bill Curtis and sophomore Mary Walker to get their thoughts.
I think that there are some sports that could have been played safely, but I know that they're choosing not to for the safety of the students. I'm upset that there's no fall sports, but I know it's what's best for the students in the school.
With the rules that they would have set out, no sport could have been played. Like soccer, you can't do throw-ins or you can't slide tackle or you can't even get close to an official or anything, even by accident. You can't make contact with players. Football would basically be impossible because you're making contact and you're close every single play and down. Even on the sidelines. Cross country, maybe, because you're distancing yourselves from others. In my opinion, it's pretty upsetting, but with what happened last spring, it's what we were expecting.
There are also concerns about spring sports and how they will be affected due to the schedule changes. We spoke with HMHS Athletic Director Mr. Case about why the fall season was postponed, as well as if the spring season will be impacted.
We just thought there was a number of protocols that we're going to need to institute, and we're kind of hoping that by then, as things improve, our kids will have a better chance at playing some of their sports with less restrictions, and also that people would be able to attend those sporting events. And we also need a little more time to train our coaches on the new protocols. Except for the date change, I actually think they'll play in a little bit warmer weather. We were hoping for like May and June for baseball, softball, and track, so I think it'll be a good time for them. Other than that, they won't really be affected. They can still choose to play their normal sports in the other seasons. I think people have put in a lot of time and effort. I know athletic directors throughout the league, as well as administrations at all the schools, we're constantly collaborating and meeting and trying to give you guys the best possible experience we can, and that's our end goal for it all.
It was clear to the Mayflower League that in order to keep the players and staff safe, postponing fall sports to a floating season was the best and safest option. This has been Caleb Tobin for Code Blue News. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Caleb. Hopefully these kids can get back on the field in the spring.
A reminder to all students from Principal Stevenson and Vice Principal O'Driscoll, you must wait until after 3:30 to access the field and track due to the JFK dismissal.
This year, since we have to wear masks throughout the school day to prevent the spread of COVID, many students are relieved when they can go outside for a mask break. However, are mask breaks frequent enough and do they get the job done? Cbn reporter George Starr has more on the story.
Hello everyone, it's me, Monotone Code Blue Reporter Guy, here back with another segment where I grumble about things once again. This time we are going to talk about, and drumroll please, mask breaks. So basically mask breaks are literally what you think they are. A time during a class period in which you go outside and are allowed to take off your mask for a bit. Who said learning can only happen inside? These beautiful cinder block walls, am I right? Oh, and don't forget the mosquitoes. Those things are scary. The reason I'm making a segment about this topic is the fact that mask breaks are not really required, and more or less viewed as something a teacher can decide to happen, if it does even. There are no legal requirements for mask breaks in schools. However, schools across the nation are having scheduled mask breaks up to a few times a day. I assume we've all had at least a few mask breaks this year so far, not counting classes like gym, health, or any other classes that you need to go outside for. I personally have had 2 all year, which in my opinion isn't too great. Other students may prefer more mask breaks and others may prefer none at all. Regardless of your opinion on mask breaks, the main thing you should take into consideration is maintaining the sanity and morale of the students and staff alike. We all dislike the mask. There's no debate in that. Just like there should be no debate that we gotta wear them. So anytime we can take them off is a blessing in my eyes. When I'm scheduled to work after school, I gotta wear this thing upwards of 12 hours a day sometimes, which is good because you can't see me visibly sticking my tongue out at you when you tell me you miss Chaffee segments and mine are stinky.
It's gonna take more than that to impress me.
When I walk in the door at the end of the day, that mask is yeeted somewhere that I will definitely forget in the morning. Seriously, where did I put my mask? I totally forgot. Oh wait! Oh, it's right here! Right next to the trash can. I guess I missed or something. How can teachers and students work together to ensure that we all get the mask breaks we need? Morale is going to be the main driving force for students this year. If morale is high, so will our grades. And if it's low, well, you can peep my report card from last year. Yeah, no bueno. I didn't even take Spanish. I digress. If I've learned anything from the last 7 months is that we gotta communicate with each other and be receptive to each other's ideas. Let's keep working together to figure it out. We're already super bummed out about the current circumstances, but now we have to deal with a completely different school life. But with the same amount of work pressure? Let's not forget the teachers are in the same boat too. We have an isolated lunch, isolated classes, and overall boring vibes from the school year so far. Except for Code Blue News, which is starting to get in the swing of things. Prove me wrong. I dare you. You won't. If ever there was a time to say we are all in this thing together, it is now. This has been George Starr for Code Blue News. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, George. It's nice to see you tackle a topic that isn't super dark.
Switching gears, it's no secret that throughout 2020, one of the most talked about subjects is the issue of police brutality.
In our next segment, we are going to talk about 3 groups that you've likely heard a lot about in the past few months. Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, and Blue Lives Matter, or Black the Blue.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
It's no secret that events involving police brutality have been one of the most talked about issues in the United States this year outside of COVID-19. After the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and countless other black Americans by police officers, the largest social justice and civil rights movement that our generation has ever seen began. It seemed like every major American city or small town has had multiple protests with the same message: Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is more than a slogan, however, it is an organization. According to the official Black Lives Matter website, Black Lives Matter was founded in 2013 in response to the acquittal of the person who shot teenager Trayvon Martin. Black Lives Matter Foundation, Inc. is a global organization in the US, UK, and Canada whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on black communities by the government, authority, and citizens turned vigilante. They try to accomplish this by combating and countering acts of violence against people of color, creating a safe space for black imagination and innovation, and centering black joy. When recent events of black Americans being killed by police took the media by storm, many Black Lives Matter supporters demanded that police be reformed or defunded. According to a direct clip from the official Black Lives Matter website, as long as we continue to pump money into our corrupt criminal system at the expense of housing, health, and education investments, we will never truly be safe. That's why we are calling to defund the police and invest in communities. The organization has argued that tax money should be distributed to other underfunded social service programs, as well as changing how police interact with the public and how they take suspects into custody. They also fight for police reform so no more innocent black Americans have to die at the hands of police, or at least without consequences. This recharged social justice movement was initially met with 3 other groups of people, or slogans: Blue Lives Matter, Back the Blue, and All Lives Matter. Blue Lives Matter is not an official organization. However, it is a vocal group of people online who believe that the police are necessary and disrespected in our country. Blue Lives Matter seeks to honor and recognize the actions of law enforcement, strengthen public support for them, and provide additional resources to law enforcement officers and their families. Connected to people who supported the idea that Blue Lives Matter is a group called Back the Blue. According to Act for America, Back the Blue is an Act for America activism campaign focused on building community support for our local police officers. In their words, with radical leftist protesters constantly vilifying our local heroes, it is our job to stand up and defend their honor. Since late May, these two groups have been sparring on the internet and at large protests, including one here in Holbrook on August 18th of this year. There's also the third section of people or slogans you may have heard that say all lives matter. Those who use this term claim that everyone's lives matter and that there's no real oppression or racial inequality in our country, and therefore no need for protests or movements to improve the lives of any group. Regardless of whatever stance you have on the story, it is important that you take the time to educate yourself on the topic of racism and social justice in our country. Lastly, we at Code Blue News would like to say we firmly condemn any act, language, or otherwise that seeks to demean anyone based on their race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation, or anything that makes someone who they are. We can become the generation to tackle these issues. This is Matthew Messina, back to you in the studio.
This is a massive topic, and you might be wondering why we're even addressing it at all. Code Blue News has been discussing how we wanted to address this topic, or if we should even address this topic at all. We decided that we owed it to you, our audience, to provide information about this issue. We may have fun and occasionally show silly, meme-ish stuff on Code Blue News. We are learning about broadcast journalism. We take reporting the news very seriously.
While we have very strong feelings on the topic personally, we owe it to our journalistic integrity to deliver you information about this story in a non-biased way. Once we have done our job of giving you the information, it is up to you to continue to educate yourself and decide for yourselves how you feel and think about it. In the future, we will even do a story about how students feel about the issue directly.
Switching gears, last Tuesday, legendary guitarist Eddie Van Halen passed away at the age of 65 after a long battle with cancer. Chuck LaRossi decided to celebrate Eddie's iconic career by reviewing his best album, 1984.
Hey everyone, I'm Chuck, and welcome back to Review 60, the segment where I review albums in 60 seconds or more. This is 1984, a record by Van Halen. The reason why I'm doing this album is because Eddie Van Halen, the singer, songwriter, and lead guitarist of this band, sadly passed away on October 6th at the age of 65. 1984 is one of the first albums that really got me into this genre of music, and a lot of the tracks in there, like Jump, Panama, and Drop Dead Legs, really got me into the scene of hard rock and shred type music. The synthesizers in this record and the guitars are immaculate. It is up there in the top 3 of the best Van Halen albums. You know, on my show, I rank albums from a not good to a 10. This album is an 8.3 out of 10. No, I'm not Anthony Fantano. I'm Chuck LaRossi, and you just watched Review 60.
Thanks, Chuck. As you all know, student elections were held yesterday. Now it's time to see who won. I'm sorry in advance if I butcher any names. Let's start with school-wide positions. For Student Advisory Board, Tiana DeCanto, Carrietta Jacks, Angela Rossi, Isabel O'Connor, and Marissa Todd all won those seats. For School Council, it was Isabel O'Connor and Carrietta Jacks. For State Student Advisory Council, it was Dallas Rodriguez Vieira and Vincent Tran. Now it's middle school student council representatives. For the class of 2027, it was Jason Berry, Elizabeth Pepe, Caroline Pepe, and Salma Ziad. For the class of 2026, Isla Baptista, Dylan DeFuria, Lorelli Fraticelli, Zach Foley, and Brady Mason. For the class of 2025, Ava Foley and Ashley Horn. For the class of 2024, this is for high school student council representatives and class officers, by the way. The class of 2024, student council representatives, Serena Terabasi. Treasurer is Kelvin Mungai. Secretary is Derek Fox. Vice President is Alicia Killian, and President is Chuck LaRossi. For the class of 2023, the Treasurer is Hannah Altador. Secretary, Kaylee Mangola. Vice President, Kylie Eschner. President, Emma Pepe. For class of 2022, student council representatives, Ruby Ambrolt, Aaron Cullity, Joseph McLaughlin, Hovind No, and Vin Nguyen. For Treasurer, Tiana DeCanto. Secretary, Marissa Todd. Vice President, Bridget Moore, and President, Dallas Rodriguez Vieira. For class of 2021, student council representatives, Emma Curtis, Kyla McKeon, Matthew Messina, and Annie Nguyen. For Treasurer, Jessica West. For Secretary, Brooke Walker. For Vice President, Ileana Luciano. For President, Carrietta Jacks. Thank you to all who participated in the process, and congratulations to those elected. Please, if you did win, please make sure to check Ms. Gallagher Please make sure to check your email for Miss Gallagher for any upcoming information. This wraps up this week's show. For Matt Messina, I'm Angelo Rossi. See you next Friday.